Ooh, this is gonna be a good one, guys. Hello. I have here the Nameless One Tarot / Oracle by Zia Hunt. Alright, as much as I do regret the cost of this purchase, I do not regret this deck. I did mention before that the Victorian Romantic was the best quality deck I own. This might take the cake. So the bag that it comes with, it's a really nice velvet bag. Usually when people throw in those free bags, they say it's a $50 value and ends up being like really crappy, like mass produced, but this is nice and thick and it's soft. Like when I say soft, as in like it's really pliable, and the embroidery on it is super nice. All right, get these out here. Oh, there it is. All right. So again, this was not in the description. It was thrown in. I do think, like, I know this was part of the Kickstarter. So I would not guarantee that you'd get this. I'm not mad that I have it. That is a beautiful pendant. I'm gonna have to find a chain for that one. And it comes with that sticker. And again, this is, from what I understand, exclusive to this set, because it does kind of increase the value if you're gonna be spending $199 on it. And again, just a reminder, it does include Children of Letha, so that's 2 decks. And the Grimoire, of course. So we do have a certificate here. This is a genuine first edition. Ooh. And that is actually signed. Like, that's not a print, that's signed. Nice. Box wise here, it's heavy. And again, I love these indie decks because I don't know where they get their printings done, but they're really good. We have a ribbon. All right. So, we'll go over the card quality in a second, but this is, I don't even know if I want to call this a little white book, because that's thick. Like, holy crap. So I'm gonna go over that here in a moment, but let's take a look at the cards, at least the card quality. Oh, we got a nice little thing in here. It feels very Wiccan to me, which is nothing wrong with that. It's definitely just very Wiccan. All right. So these cards are huge. They are huge. So we're going with the Rider-Waite-Smith here. So, and as we know, I wouldn't say floppy, but it's a pretty standard card quality on the Rider-Waite-Smith. This one, I know that it is 350 GSM, and it feels nice. We got that black edging, thank God. Listen, if I spent this much on all this and it wasn't edged, I'd have a bird. But it's edged. It's actually really nice. So, I know that a good chunk of these are Oracle cards, so I were to separate them real quick. All right, so there's the Oracle, and this is the 78 Tarot. I'm gonna grab my Rider-Waite-Smith here and do a comparison on thickness. So the deck is much thicker. Much thicker. Sorry, it's not, doesn't want to focus. There we go. So it's nice and it's straight. So it comes with 30 Oracle cards. I will, when I do my flip through, I'll kind of separate them so you know which ones are which. So before I get right into the flip through, I do want to talk about the deck intentions. There's a reason why it's a little more pricier, because again, you get an Oracle deck with it, and the deck is really fully intended to be used in spell work because of the sigils that are on them. So not only is it intended to be used for spell work, it's intended to be studied because, as we said with the Nameless ones, it actually doesn't have, of course I'm pulling up the cords, but it doesn't actually have, upside down, what am I doing here? It doesn't actually have any of the names of the cards on there. So you have to study this to get to know it. Which is not a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. It is a complete behemoth. it's a behemoth of a deck because the multi-toolability of it. It's really laid out for the reader, and the little white book kind of goes into that. I haven't gotten to the Grimoire yet, and it's already super impressive. So I'm going to go through this flip through, and then I'm going to discuss the little white book and the Grimoire further. All right, we're gonna go back to this puppy right here because there is a lot in these cards. The biggest thing that might be a barrier for some people is that, again, these cards do not have a label on them. They're called Nameless for a reason. It is not necessarily a bad thing because what this deck is intended to be is to be a multi-tool. And by what I mean by a multi-tool is that you can use it as a tarot deck because it does run the Rider-Waite-Smith system. However, if we take a look at the little white book here, we also have sigil affirmations. So you can use this as an affirmation deck. If you are not looking to divine, you're just looking to get a message, you can get an affirmation that you can basically use for your positive outcome for the day. There's the oracle side of it. You can even completely ignore this and use this as an intuitive oracle. Although the oracle side does actually have the same information. So if anything, they're a bit of an extension of the tarot itself. The biggest thing is going to be those sigils though. So those sigils, if you're not familiar with sigils in your practice, basically you would find the sigil you want to use or pick one from the deck, and you would draw that on a candle, you would draw it on paper, on a bay leaf, and you would charge it, you would burn it. Basically you would use it as a spell. So the fact that the creator went through all of this to create these actual realized sigils of power that are usable is a ridiculous amount of work. Now, I have a gripe. So let me take a look here. So we have, these are the court cards. I don't like them. And I don't like them for a few big reasons. Frankly, these are particularly difficult to read because there's not a whole lot of differences between them. This is the Cups suit. So we have the King, the Queen, the Prince, and the Jester. They said that they created the courts like this and created the deck in general to not have humans involved so it can be inclusive. But it's kind of defeating the purpose if you are labeling them as kings, queens, princes, sorry. You're kind of really defeating the purpose of it being all inclusive if you're still gendering them. I would have called like demonstrators, communicators, responders, and like channelers, because as you can see here, it's all the same face and you really have to dig in deep to find out if that's the king or not. And I'm sure that the grimoire is really going to help teach you the differences between them, but visually they're not that exciting. These are already genderless, but then you're adding genders to them. So either go full in or don't at all. This feels lazy to me, and I'm sorry if you like it. I don't. For me, that is the one glaring mark on this deck that I just wish the courts are better, but whichever, because honestly, I'm going to have to stop and figure out which one these are, and it's going to be a lot less intuitive than finding out what the rest of the deck is like. However, we're going to take a look at that giant grimoire now. This guy. It's 700 pages plus. Holy Christ, it's heavy. I think it's like 6.5 pounds. It's a lot. And I'm going to tell you why it is a lot. First of all, look at the front on this. I can't even fill it in frame. That's how big it is. So, I'm not going to go too far. Like, I'm not going to go through everything in this, but I'm going to go over what's important. So again, it kind of goes over, like, this is a lot of really good information that's really built into here. It goes over rituals. And then it starts going into the deck. So this is very similar to the Little White Book. However, it does have alternative oracle titles. So if you do want to use this as an oracle deck, I wouldn't personally. I don't really see any point in oracle decks personally, but anyway, it does give you alternative titles if you want to use it strictly as an oracle. It gives you your affirmation. It gives you additional information, which is very much so tarot based. We have the number 0, air, Uranus, butterfly, dog, bird. It's all in there, and this is all based off the Rider-Waite-Smith. And it does give you some more poetry there. This is the big thing. This is why this is significantly different than this, because this seems pretty basic. We have an entire overview, your upright, your reverse, the sigil, so suggested uses for the sigil, and then all these details about the symbology that's in it. The white butterfly, the sun, Venus flytrap, the colors, and then it has some more information here. Again, with a magician, alternative oracle title, so if you don't want to do it, there is a lot in here. It keeps going and going and going. So if you really want to use this for spell work and you want to get the most out of it, this is where it's at. And it keeps going and going and going and going. So we're going to go towards the end here. So that's, I think we're at the, yeah, we're in the oracle cards, which are, we got astrology here instead, candles. Actually, did they have that for the, yeah, they even have candles for the tarot. Whew. Yeah, I like that. It's all in here, it keeps going. So there's more though. It's not just all this. So we go to the back here. So appendices and additional information. Wow, I can't talk today, don't mind me. So we got your spreads. Pretty standard. Fun. Oh my god, there's so many spreads. But then you have a whole big section on sigil magic. So if you're interested in getting sigils, it shows you how to make your own down here. It's pretty good. A master list of sigil affirmations. So it has, if you just want to, instead of looking up this book all the time or trying to find it here, you have that quick reference of your affirmations. You have extra sigils, so she added some additional sigils in here if you want to add them. Astrological correspondences. It's zodiac constellations. We have astrological associations according to the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Daily magic, numerology of tarot. Animal correspondences. Yeah, we got animal correspondences in here. We got a lot of them. Plant correspondences. Crystal correspondences. The symbology and psychology of color. I remember there was a discussion on the Discords that I moderate about like the details of color magic. Here's right here. Candles and their magical uses. And again, a lot of this is probably UPG, but still it's nice to have some spells, which whatever. But they're nice. They're nice to have in here. And then we do have selected references, which is nice, and acknowledgements, which is a lot of acknowledgements, probably due to the Kickstarter. And then we have the index. $108 is a lot, frankly. Again, if it wasn't for the sake that I knew that I was gonna end up costing me an arm and a leg to order this later, I probably wouldn't have bothered. However, I say that, but chances are, if this was my only deck, or if this was a deck that I was going to be using regularly, especially for spell work, which honestly might very well happen, this would be invaluable. I would think that for collection purposes, or if you don't feel like you need this, just get the deck. However, this is a really, really in-depth companion grimoire, and I would recommend it for what's in it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it because of the price of it. However, you do get a really nice, solid book. I would think that, yeah, this would be really, really, really helpful if this is your only deck and you plan to use it for everything. I don't regret getting this at all. If anything, I'm probably going to get a lot of use out of it. It's just that where I've kind of established in my practice already, I don't feel like I necessarily need this, but it is really nice to have as a reference guide, especially if we want to get across what they were looking for. Especially if we take a look at let's take a look at the quartz. Yeah, so because of that, it does have symbols of design when it comes to those court cards, so this might make it a lot easier for you to understand them, because for me that it's going to be a little bit of a barrier. It's going to be more of a barrier than like the other cards. I know immediately that's the tower, right? This one's going to, again, the quartz are going to be a little more difficult for me to pick up on. You're like, see, I can see the sword, I guess, but still, well, that's the gesture, right? If you look at the other quartz, it's going to be a lot more difficult, right, to tell the difference whether this is the queen or the like king. So it's going to take me, it's going to take a little bit more for me to tell the difference overall. But again, that's I wouldn't say it's a minor gripe. For me, it's a big gripe, but it might be just a minor gripe for you. That's your prerogative. Would I recommend this deck? Yes. Would I recommend it, honestly, if you're going to get it for strictly collection purposes? Probably not. I think that you are actually better off mindfully purchasing this deck and using it, because I think that it's going to be more than just a divinatory tool. I think it's going to be used for a lot more than that, which I think that that's where its biggest value is going to be in. And honestly, as much as that, for me, I think I'm going to start using it a little more, experimenting with it a little more in my spell work, because it is really nice. I can't even look at those. Like, now that I'm looking at this, I'm excited for it. When I have those up, I'm just like, ew, don't like. I don't know why I'm so opposed to these. I think I just have to get used to them. But when it comes to the rest of the deck, it is so pretty. It is so ridiculously pretty. It's not even funny. Stunning. Not so much. But yeah. I can't complain. I really can't. Thanks.